Sheng. Mouth organs with free reed technology have existed in Asia for at least 3,000 years. The sound of some of these instruments is used as a language for communication between couples in love. They are played at the big festivals. Some of them are a national symbol, deeply rooted in culture and history. One of these free reed instruments is the Chinese Sheng.
Sheng.
First records of Sheng prototypes date back to 1100 BC. Different Sheng variants were found as grave goods. Sheng illustrations can be seen on the cave paintings on the former Silk Road. The Sheng is an important part of art and religion. Spread to Korea during the Three Kingdoms period. In Korea, the instrument is called sangwang.
Sangwang.
Around the 7th century CE, the Sheng came to Japan, where it is called sho. In Japan, the sho is still played today in the Gagaku ensemble.
Gagaku. Sho.
A Sheng variant is also said to have existed in Persia, 7th set CE, which was called mushtaq sini. It was not until the 18th century CE that the first Sheng came to Europe. It is recorded that there was a Sheng player named Johann Wilde at the court of St. Petersburg. 1779, Joseph Marie Amiot, a French Jesuit priest, sent 2 large and 2 small Sheng variants to France. The Sheng is played with a free reed technique that was still unknown in Europe. In Europe, it is said the first attempts to experiment with free reed techniques began around 1780 in Copenhagen and St. Petersburg. In 1780,
Christian Kratzenstein
built a speaking machine that could pronounce the vowels
A, E, I, O, U,
for which he developed and experimented new free reed techniques. A phase began in which attempts were made to combine the newly discovered Asia free reed technique with the European stop reed technique. The European stop reeds were modified. This means that the pipes with reeds that had hit a frame have now been replaced by the new free reed technology. The sound of the new free swinging reeds was much softer than that of the stop reeds from before. The stop reeds variant were developed at the beginning of the 16th century in Europe and were used in instruments called regal. The sound of these regal instruments is described as snaring. After the snaring stop reed technique were replaced by the new smooth free reeds technique, the regal instruments also disappeared or were converted into free reed instruments. However, the snaring stop reed technique remained as an organ stop in the large organs, where they are still called regal stop. The development of the new free reed technique led to the development of new instruments. 1783, a portative organ with free reeds. 1790, orchestrion. 1804, panharmonicon. 1810, org expressive. 'This development phase began shortly after the first Sheng instruments arrived in Europe. But how strong the influence of the Sheng was on this first development phase of European free reeds is still not clear. It is clear that the Sheng had an influence on the second development phase of European free reed instruments. 1811, a completely new free reed variant was created when an attempt was made to reduce the size. The tuners were removed, which reduced the size of the reeds, similar to the size of the Sheng reeds. In 1813, the German Bernhard Eschenbach published a different development of free reeds in a German journal. He wrote that after years of experimentation, he had successfully made the reeds of the mouth harp vibrate by blowing on them instead of tapping them. In 1812 he built his first prototype instrument with his free reeds, with a keyboard and bellows that were operated with the knees. He called the instrument
Aeoline.
The European free reed techniques became closer to the Sheng technique. However, it was claimed that some of the instrument makers and inventors of the many new European free reed instruments did not yet know about Sheng and its free reed technique. But publications and descriptions show that information about the free reed technique of the Chinese Sheng was available since at least 1779. In 1818, the instrument maker Anton developed his harmonica in Vienna, which he patented in 1821. He used free reeds without a tuning device. According to the patent specification, the free reeds were tuned only with applied wax. The wax tuning method was quickly replaced by new patents. What is now the difference between the new European free reeds and the traditional Sheng free reeds? Sheng free reeds consist of one part, also called ideoglet, while European free reeds consist of several parts, also called heteroglet. The free reeds of the Sheng are made to vibrate with the help of a resonator. The reeds can be activated in both wind directions. If the finger hole is open, then the reed does not vibrate and the pipe remains silent. For European free reeds, the reed is placed above or below the cutout. The reed can only be made to vibrate with wind from one direction. They can be made to vibrate without a resonator. There are also European free reeds with tuners. The new European free reeds are a fusion of already existing Asian and European reed technology, developed at the end of the 18th and beginning of the 19th century. However, now it was possible to build small instruments with a wide range of tones. Anton already built the small variant of his harmonica. During the construction process of the many new free reed instruments, such as the harmonica, the first prototypes of the later harmonica were probably already developed as a byproduct. The first harmonica models were probably just small tuning plates that were the result of the newly developed free reed plates. I won't name anyone as the inventor of the harmonica. Look at the steps that led to the invention of the harmonica as it is known today. The harmonica, as musical instrument, was probably developed around between 1810 and 1825. Similar technology was already known in many countries at that time. Some sources claim that harmonicas were being built in Vienna 1824 by Anton Reinlein, an Austrian music box manufacturer. But a harmonica, in the English meaning of the word, is not mentioned in the indicated source's text. In the German language, the harmonica is described with the addition Mund, mouth, Harmonica. Harmonica alone does not mean harmonica. But there is evidence that Anton Reinlein received a patent for a new harmonica in 1828. A new type of mouth harmonica, invented with 2 octaves, on which you can not only play chords, but also anything you like. Many harmonica models are said to have been sold in Vienna at this time, and a harmonica factory was founded some years later. It is said that among others, travelers bought the Viennese harmonica as a souvenir and took it home with them. The harmonicas were popular and spread quickly and were soon copied. This led to the founding of the first harmonica manufacturers in Germany. A booklet from the UK, published in 1830, shows what the first harmonicas might have looked like. It is reported that the instrument was first brought to the United Kingdom in 1827. In the UK, these instruments were imported as Aeolian or Aeolinas. It should be noted that there were no covers for the reeds at that time. Various names developed for the instrument around the world. My favorite names is Ruinbabens, which means ruin lips. Examples of what the first harmonicas might have looked like. The possibility of using a large number of tones in a small space opened up many new possibilities in instrument making. Experiments continued. Melodicon. In England, Robert Willis and Charles Wheatstone experimented with the new free reed technique. In 1829, Robert Willis analyzed the newly developed free reed technique by studying. Robert Willis built 2 free reed variants as adapters, which he used for experimental setups. He describes variant 1, similar as the free reed technique, newly invented by Kratzenstein. Willis suspects the origin of this technique in the ancient stop reed pipes, like it was used in the ancient Mehmet, or is still used in the Laudes. The second reed variant should correspond to the newly imported Aeoline free reeds. The first experimental setup was used for the scientific analysis of a speaking machine that used stop reeds. The speaking machine of Wolfgang von Kempelen. Experiment 1, Willis tried to achieve the same results with free reeds as Kempelen did with the stop reeds. This is followed by a series of free reed experiments with different reed lengths or different resonator lengths. The next experimental setup deals with the free reeds invented by Greny for his Org Expressive. One more setup was used to analyze the vibration response of the free reeds under changing operating conditions. Robert Willis' research on the vowels and free reed technique is recognized as one of the first scientific foundations of the new European free reed technology. Sir Charles Wheatstone also made experiments with the new and the old free reed technique. In 1821, Wheatstone started experiments on sound and its transmission. In 1823, Charles and his brother William took over his uncle's business in London. Charles concentrated on improving instruments and developing technical aids, and extended his experiments to musical instruments. In 1827 he presented a calodophone, a device with which the vibrations of a sounding body can be made visible to the eye. This calodophone work was influenced by the research results of Ernst Chladni. Chladni also published a report on the principles of the Sheng free reeds in 1821, which may also have inspired Wheatstone. 1828, Wheatstone produced his Aeoline. Wheatstone began to study the free reed technique of the Aeoline and the Chinese Sheng and tried to develop new instruments from his results. In 1829 he registered a patent for some of his new free reed musical instrument developments. This Wheatstone's new inventions can be divided into three groups. Group 1. Further developments of the European free reeds with new keys and reed techniques. For this group he developed several variants of a new instrument, which he named the symphonium. He minimized the instrument to hand size and developed single and combined key techniques. Group 2. Attempts to optimize the Chinese Sheng. Wheatstone has tried to transfer the layout of his symphonium fingering to the Sheng. He developed a round and a rectangular Sheng variant and moved the air supply to the bottom. The length of the pipes is intended to represent the different lengths of the reeds in the symphonium. As a third Sheng variant, Wheatstone tried to combine a Sheng with hand bellows. The free reeds of the Sheng vibrate in both wind directions, which made it possible to construct the bellows without valves. Group 3. Bellows Symphonium. As with the Sheng, Wheatstone tries to equip his newly developed symphonium instruments with bellows. Wheatstone writes that he is able to equip all of his newly developed symphonium instruments with bellows. Wheatstone does not claim a patent for the bellows technology, but for the new instruments he attached to the bellows. Many scholars refer to this instrument and the symphonium inventions as the first prototype of a concertina by Wheatstone. The concertina is an instrument that Wheatstone developed from the patents in 1829. But keep in mind, Wheatstone patented his first concertina in 1844. The first concertina patent of 1844 also contains a technique invented by Wheatstone that makes it possible to vibrate the European free reeds like the Chinese Sheng reeds. Since I have been researching the free reed technique, for me, this invention is one of the most ingenious. In 1834, Charles Wheatstone became Professor of Experimental Physics at King's College, London. 1835, like Robert Willis, Charles Wheatstone also studied von Kempelen's speaking machine and built an improved version. Further inventions with the new European free reed technology. An instrument that tried to create a bridge between the original free reed technique of the Sheng and the new European free reed technique was the new Sheng. Also very interesting is the invention of a piano Aeoline in 1829. The first harmonicas made in the USA. As early as 1811, a harmonicon, with integrated European free reed pipes, arrived in Boston, USA, from Vienna. The instrument was presented by William M. Goodrich in Boston and New York. This means that the new free reed technique was available and that the harmonica could also have been developed in the USA. But there are no records that the harmonica was invented in USA. The oldest documented harmonicas made in the USA are probably from 1830 and 1831. By James Bazin. By Louis Wallen. In Europe, the development of new instruments with the new invented free reed technique continued. 1831, Apollo Lara. Aeolian. Mundharmonica. The shape is probably derived from the ranket. For me, I gave the instrument the name mundharmonica. (1836) Harmonifon. The Richter harmonica. There is no verifiable data on the Richter harmonica, when it was invented, or by who it was actually invented. But since the Richter harmonica, or the Richter tuning, is a very important part of harmonica history, I will try to show some of the many unconfirmed infos. There is no evidence of who Mr. Richter was, and where he came from. The curiosity of many people has led to some possible sources. Mr. Richter could have been a Joseph, a Johannes, or an Anton. There would be viable sources for all three names. Some sources claim that a Joseph Richter was the inventor and that he came from Haida in Bohemia, what is now Novi Bor in the Czech Republic. The dates of the first Richter harmonica vary from 1826 to around 1857. A standard Richter harmonica has 10 holes. There are 2 reeds in each hole. Each hole has a blow reed at the top and a draw reed at the bottom. It is said that a Joseph Richter invented the layout with the blow and draw reed in one hole and the tuning. A Richter harmonica is tuned diatonically. The construction of harmonicas was a huge success, and the workshops developed into large factories producing millions of pieces. An entire branch of industry developed. 3 manufacturing centers developed in Germany.
Knittlingen, Trossingen, Klingenthal.
One of the most successful and best-selling harmonica model is the Marine Band. In 1965, a small harmonica, called Little Lady, was played in space by the astronaut Walter Schirra.
Roger, Houston and Gemini 7, this is Gemini 6. We have an object, looks like a satellite, going from north to...
Even in the 20th century, new mouth-blown free reed instruments were invented. 1908, Honerola. 1924, Goofus. 1949, Accordina. 'The harmonica spread around the world, to countries such as Brazil, Australia, China, Korea or Japan, but that will be another story. In addition to the free reed mouth-blown instruments, many new instruments with bellows systems were also invented with the new European free reed technique. 1829, accordion. 1829, bellows symphonium. 1844, concertina. 1830, Serafini. 1842, harmonium. Harmonica. 1855, harmoniflute. USA, 1834, rocking melodeon or lap organ. 1856, improved melodeon. India, 1875, Indian harmonium. Shruti box. Around 1950s, the big brother of the harmonica, the melodica, was invented. Similar instruments were already developed in the early stages of the new European free reed invention. Japan played a very important role in the spread and further development of the melodica. Two key questions in the history of the harmonica cannot be solved or answered. Who invented the harmonica? Who was Mr. Richter?